Welcome one and all. If you're looking for a Pokemon Nuzlocke, then I have a treat for you. I've seen a lot of people playing Pokemon Nuzlockes recently, and usually they'll do games like Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, Leaf Green, you know, the basics. But one of the Pokemon games that I haven't seen been done in a Nuzlocke, at least not frequently or at all, is Pokemon Black and White. And honestly, that struck me as kind of odd, because Pokemon Black and White is, to my knowledge at least, the first game where we go so in-depth with the villain's backstory, with the arrival of N, and then after him Getsis and their whole shtick with taking over the world or whatever, as well as the fact that TMs in the game are reusable, which is a mechanic that would go on to be used in future games like Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield. So let's get right into the game. Now, the last time I played Pokemon Black and White, I was probably in high school, and it actually wasn't the first Pokemon game I played. The first Pokemon game I played was probably Pokemon Emerald, back when I was like 11 or 12 years old. And, you know, at the time, I thought the graphics were amazing, and, you know, they're decent. They're pixels, but what do you expect? It was a great game. I loved the starters for Generation 3, Torchic, Trico, and Mudkip. I think I started with Trico on my first playthrough because I just liked the little grass lizard thing that I saw. And I'm sure some of you will disagree and say, oh no, Torchic and Mudkip are better, which, that's fair. You have your own opinions, and I probably would agree with you that they are probably better in the grand scheme of things, but that wasn't what I cared about. I cared about the coolest Pokemon, and I liked Trico. And, with a bonus, it evolves into Sceptile at later levels, which honestly, for me, was the coolest of the third stage evolutions. And I know everyone loves Blaziken. I like Blaziken too, but Sceptile will always be my favorite. Getting back to Pokemon Black, the starters in this one are usually Tepig, Oshawott, and Snivy, but here in a minute you're going to notice something is a little bit different about this game, and more than a few of you have probably figured it out by now, that this is not a normal Pokemon playthrough. If it was, it would probably be pretty boring, so I went with the other route, which is very popular nowadays, which is the fact that this is a Pokemon Black randomizer. And not only is it a randomizer, the starters are completely randomized. As you can see here, we have Typhlosion, fire type, Growlithe, another fire type, and these two are pretty cool, but I love Ampharos. Guys, Johto, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Ampharos is my main man. I love it so much, so I pick Ampharos here. And it's actually a really strong electric type to have at the start of the game, and I just really like it. It gets some pretty cool moves. Typhlosion also would have been cool, but I feel like that's, you know, that's what everyone else would go for. You know, they go for the third stage starter right off the bat, and I wanted to be a little bit different, so with Ampharos I go. It doesn't have Mega Evolution yet, unfortunately, but still a really good Pokemon. Oh, another thing I should probably mention is that the names and roles of the trainers are all randomized, as you can probably tell by the artist Cristiano that we're facing off against here. And having our first battle, Growlithe as usual has Intimidate, which could be bad, but fortunately we are Special Attacker, so this battle goes pretty smoothly for us. Get the static right off the bat there. At some points during this playthrough, I will speed up the game. I have a speed up button that allows me to play a lot faster since this is on an emulator, and it just gets through all the boring parts, like grinding for levels, is probably the worst offender that I will either be skipping over entirely or be speeding through in the event that I run into something cool or something bad happens to me, which I will of course show, as that is part of the entertainment value. But we beat Cristiano here really easily, and of course we're gonna have to fight Sharon as well. Sharon, however his name's supposed to be pronounced. Of course it's gonna be different. We'll find out what it is here in a second. But yeah, I've always loved Pokemon ever since I started playing it. I never got into the card games. I think that was a little bit before my time. And I know it's still popular nowadays, but I've never really got into it. Which, I know a lot of people like it, but me personally, I prefer the video games. And it's also very popular, very successful game franchise, obviously, with all the different, you know, Ruby, Silver, Sapphire, Gold, Sword and Shield now. And who knows what else will come out in the future, but we're facing off against Sharon, and he picked a Typhlosion. It doesn't really have any strong moves right now, just Ember. It might have Smoke Screen, but I don't think it uses it here. I really should speed up the text to fast. Probably should have done that first thing, but I was busy with just getting through the intro part here. Pokemon Black and White is probably one of the only Pokemon games that has a super long intro, like with the whole Getsis and N, like prologue at the beginning. At least as far as I can remember, it's the only game that really has a prologue like that. All the other games are mostly just you end up in the back of a moving truck and you're moving to a new town like Little Root or whatever other town you start in, you know, in Sinnoh or whatever other region. Here I'm checking the nature of my Pokemon. Bashful, I think, is a neutral nature, which is good for us, and the ability, of course, is static, which we found out earlier, which is decent on contact, has a chance to paralyze. Gotta talk to Mom here for a little bit. What does annoy me a little bit about the early game of Black and White is it's a little bit slow. It's slow to start, compared to other games, at least. Like, I remember back in Emerald, it throws you to the wolves pretty quickly there in the beginning. Like, you start out in Little Root Town, and you have to immediately rescue Professor Birch from a wild Zigzagoon, and from there you get to pick your starter, Torchic, Trico, or Mudkip, and you get to fight with it right off the bat. Now, immediately after that, he does ask you to take a parcel to his daughter or son, depending on which one you picked, boy or girl. You know, May or Brendan. And just a side note here, I think playing through Black or White a couple times, at the start there, when the Piedoves fly off, it can either be Piedoves or Woobats, I think. It can actually change what type of Pokemon flies away, which I thought was really interesting. I could be wrong, maybe I was seeing things, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Had a little conversation there with Bianca and her dad. Standard overprotective parents. But back to Emerald, you have to go off on your adventure almost immediately, go through Route 1, go through the first town and beyond it to find May or Brendan, have your first rival battle there, and then take the parcel back to Professor Birch, and then you're on your way, you know, into the world. That whole process in Emerald probably took 10 minutes, tops, you know, and we're still in the starting town here in Black, which I don't know the name of it, and I know that the name I choose for my Ampharos is a stereotypical name for an electric-type Pokemon, but let me explain. The reason I chose the name Sparky is not because it's an electric-type Pokemon. I am actually in a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign, and our Dungeon Master gave us a little pet, if you can call it that. It's actually a baby imp from the Nine Hells that we found in an abandoned building, where some crazy ritual was being held, and we decided to adopt this little baby imp and named it Sparky. I don't know why we named it Sparky. The character who adopted it thought Sparky was a cute name, so we just stuck with Sparky. The name stuck, and now the baby imp is named Sparky, and that's why I named my Ampharos Sparky, because that's what I first thought of as a nickname. And it also fits because it is an electric Pokemon, but I didn't choose it because it's an electric type. So, gotta get through the tutorial part here. I honestly don't remember much about the overarching story of Black and White. It was never one of my more played games. I, played Emerald or Pokemon Pearl way more. I played Black or White maybe only a couple times, so I don't remember a lot of it. I do remember that it had some interesting Pokemon. One of the ones I remember was actually Zebstrika, just because I thought an electric zebra was cool looking. That's pretty much the only reason. And another one I remember for not so good reasons is the electric type gym leader. I don't recall her name at the moment. She had Emolgas, which is actually a electric flying type Pokemon, which is based off of a flying squirrel or sugar glider, I think. But it had the annoying habit, or should I say strategy, of using Volt Switch straight away to do decent damage and switch out safely to another Pokemon. And that was the electric type gym leader's whole shtick. That's what she would do. She would send in Emolga, have it use Volt Switch, unless she only had Emolga left, at which case I think it would use Acrobatics. But what you saw just there is me speeding up the footage, like I said I would occasionally, with the whole introductory, oh, this is how you catch a Pokemon, everyone knows how to catch a Pokemon, we don't need to see that, Professor Juniper, so I just skipped over it. I have to listen to Sharon and Bianca chatter on here for a minute or two, just trying to get through their dialogue, so I can get to the first encounter on Route 1. There's a lot of dialogue in the first part of the game that you have to just kind of cycle through, but this is our first encounter in Route 1, and it's a Seismitoad, which this scared me a little bit, because if you don't know, Seismitoad is a water ground type, which means my electric moves don't work on this thing. Now, luckily it's low level at level 2, and I almost nearly one-shot the thing just with a straight-up tackle, so I couldn't risk tackling again, so I just went straight to the bag and threw some Pokeballs at it. But I was worried that this Pokemon might have some ground move, like Mud Shot or something crazy that could just instantly kill me. But luckily it doesn't, it's too low of a level. At best, it would probably only have Mud Slap, which would be annoying in that it would reduce my accuracy, but throw in a couple Pokeballs, it gets captured here in a second, and well, if it will get in the ball, I know it does. It's in the red health, so it's not too hard to capture. 1, 2, 3, and click, there it goes. Seismitoad was caught. And this is actually in the Unova Pokédex. I think this was actually the game that Seismitoad was introduced in. And I'll be honest, I was thinking of a nickname, and I thought the nickname I gave it would be just hilarious. And I've been talking a lot about Generation 3, Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. So if you haven't guessed already, I'm sure you can guess now. Well, I guess this wasn't introduced in Emerald, it was before that in Johto, but I name it Wooper because Wooper's great, and Wooper's just a little derpy little guy who's waddles around. Evolution is Quagsire, and it's also water ground type. So I thought it'd be funny to nickname my Seismitoad Wooper. And I go back to my house here just to heal up a little bit so I can train up my Seismitoad and get it up to a closer level to what my Ampharos is, since Seismitoad's level 2 right now, so I have to do some grinding. So I'll skip ahead to when I get Seismitoad up to whatever level I need to get it up to match my Ampharos, and if anything happens, then you'll be sure to know. So I'll be honest, I forgot to turn off speed up for this segment, but as you can see, I ran into a wild legendary Pokemon. And not only is it a legendary, it's a Kyurem, which, if you don't know, is a fusion Pokemon between Reshiram and Zekrom. Or, no, Kyurem is its own Pokemon in this game, and you can fuse it with Reshiram or Zekrom to get different types, or different fusions of Pokemon. And unfortunately, I do lose my Wooper to the Kyurem there, and it's very sad. And whenever you lose a Pokemon in this game, it's considered dead, you can't use it anymore, and you immediately, or at least with my rules, I have to immediately drop what I'm doing, go to the nearest Pokemon Center, and release the Pokemon that has died. Now, this is all required. We're still sort of in the tutorial area, so I have to talk to Bianca, Sharon, Professor Juniper. I have to do this whole rigmarole at the Pokemon Center, and I actually accidentally talked to Professor Juniper here more than once without realizing it, and then I eventually turn to Nurse Joy and get my Pokemon healed up, which I have to do this. This is required for me to continue. I'm not going to be using my Seismitoad after this. Immediately after she's done talking to me and giving me the tour of the Pokemon Center, like giving me the tour of how the PC works, and then going over to the counter and telling me about how to buy stuff like Pokeballs and potions, immediately after all of that is over, I'm going to come back over to the PC so I can deposit my Seismitoad and I can release it. And it really sucks that I lost the Seismitoad this early. I did not expect to run into a Kyurem, or any legendary really, and it really sucks. And I did all that grinding for nothing as well. I got it up to level 8, I think, and it just died to a Dragon Rage, which does automatic 40 damage, which basically kills anything I have at this low level. I really probably should have just run away from the Kyurem, but I thought it'd be good experience for my good old Wooper here. Bye-bye, Wooper. And unfortunately, I wasn't thinking. I just kept trying to supersonic it, so it would try to confuse itself, maybe hurt itself a little bit. Probably should have just run away, but that's what happens when you take risks and you don't think ahead. Now, what I'm doing here is I almost bought 8 Pokeballs because I am a stickler for having an even number, like 10, 20 multiples of 5 of whatever item in my bag. But I decided to go back and buy 10 Pokeballs instead, because you get a Premier Ball as a bonus, which is basically a free Pokeball. And then for potions, I just buy 3, which I don't know why I don't do multiples of 5 for potions, but it's whatever. Now, normally, how the rules go in a Nuzlocke is that you can't use healing items in battle. Or at least I've seen a few people do that. You can't use potions, full restores, full heals, anything like that in battle. Which, you know, I can see the reasoning behind it, so it makes it adds a little more difficulty to the game if you can't heal during battle. But what I'm gonna say is that if the trainer that I'm fighting heals during battle, then I can heal during battle. So stuff like rich kids using full restores, or when we get to the Elite Four and the Champion, they're all going to be healing their Pokemon with full restores and stuff like that. So I'm going to take advantage and I'm going to heal my own Pokemon when they heal their Pokemon. I think that's fair. I think I can justify doing that. But for normal battles, like wild Pokemon battles, I'm not going to do it. But if it's like gym leader stuff, if they heal their Pokemon, like the first gym leader probably has a potion it'll use on his Pokemon, then I can heal my own Pokemon. And that's what I'm going to stick with. If you don't agree with that, then that's tough, because that's the rules I'm sticking to. And now we have to talk to Sharon over here, and Getsis is going to give us a little speech, which I sped through as quick as possible because I don't want to hear him jabber on about the fate of the world and how Pokemon are being oppressed and how he's big and evil and wants to take over everything. Now, what I will say is that I partially agree with N's stance on things, that Pokemon that are treated as less than or treated as slaves or something like that instead of as a friend or a companion, those trainers should not have Pokemon. They should not be trainers, period. And we're getting our first battle with N, who I guess could be considered our rival for the whole game. Because, let's be honest, Bianca and Sharon don't really count. And he has an Uxie! What do you know? Guess he must have visited the Sinnoh region. Yeah, I'll be honest, I was freaking out here a little bit, because Uxie is definitely strong defensively and special defensively. Like, Thundershock barely does a third of his health there. Fortunately, it just uses Imprison, so it doesn't do anything to me, so I can just Thundershock again and do decent damage. But then it uses Confusion, which scares me, but fortunately it only does a little damage. Then it rests on me, and now I start getting worried because it can self-heal, so I just have to hope that it stays asleep for long enough for me to kill it. And it stays asleep. I get lucky here with my Thundershock, and I get a critical hit, which takes out the Uxie. And I breathe a sigh of relief as one of the 3 lake Pokemon from the Sinnoh region is taken down. I actually get 2 levels out of it, which is really nice. And I defeated N. Artist N, apparently. I guess the N part of the name wasn't randomized, or it can't be randomized. Like, it's always stuck as N. But luckily got through that battle without too much of danger. I am stuck with only Ampharos at the moment though. It's level 12, so it's not too bad, but I would really love to have a second Pokemon. And I go back here in the center to heal my Pokemon up. You'll probably see me doing that a lot in this playthrough, and I do apologize, but from what I remember, Black and White are very punishing with wild Pokemon encounters, gym leader battles, especially now that it's randomized and I don't know what to expect. They could come rolling at me with, you know, a team of legendaries for all I know. It's randomized, so I'm gonna level up. I'm gonna heal whenever I can with a Pokemon Center, and I'm not gonna be apologetic about it because I don't want my Ampharos to die. But head out here to Route 2 to try and get my second Pokemon. But of course, I get a call. Who could it be? It's Mother. And she says that apparently I forgot something that she wants to give to me, and she's been trying to catch me this whole time. Honestly, does my mom not have like anything better to do than to follow me around all day? Like, maybe she's a stay-at-home mom and she just got bored, but I don't know how old your character's supposed to be in this game. Personally, I think he looks like 14, 15 years old. So, I don't know, it seems a little odd for me for Mom to be following me around. Anyway, into Route 2. Second encounter is going to be... Hahaha, gotcha. Gonna leave it on a cliffhanger here. You'll just have to wait till the next episode to find out. I hope you liked it. like and subscribe if you did, and hope you come back for more. See you next time. I just want to take a quick moment to talk about Wondershare Filmora. This is the audio and video editing software that I'm currently using for my videos, as you can probably tell by the watermark during the entirety of the video. It's a fantastic editing software. There's a free option, there's also a paid option that you can look into if you're looking for more nuanced tools, other options for you to use. It's a wonderful recording software. I highly recommend it. It's very user intuitive, and again, it is free to use, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Wondershare Filmora, and you should look into it if you can, whenever you can, and if you want to use it, go right for it. Alright, see you next time.